Hey, it's Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and I've got something very special for you today. We're going to be taking a look at the classic Fairchild compressors, the 660 and the 670, and putting two of the modern plug-in recreations to the test. We're going to be taking a look at the Universal Audio versus the Undertone Audio Fairchild plugins. We're going to do a comparison, a little back-to-back with some of the recent tracks from my new project, and we're going to put them head-to-head, see how they sound different, and I'm going to throw in a little history lesson for you guys, so let's get into it. The Fairchild began as a custom project for Les Paul, designed by Rain Narma, then brought to market by Sherman Fairchild in 1959. From the Beatles to Motown, it's been the secret sauce behind timeless vocals and drums, with original units now selling for more than $30,000. Musicians and engineers call it the Holy Grail, not just because it's rare, but because it can shape a sound in ways no other analog hardware ever could. What makes it so special? These monsters use up to 20 vacuum tubes and a mountain of transformers, delivering a unique blend of warmth, punch, and musical compression. The Fairchild 660 is mono, perfect for single tracks. The 670 is a stereo beast, even allowing mid-side processing. Both have ultra-fast attack times and unique program-dependent release curves that respond musically to whatever you throw at them. The end result? Lush glue, vocal presence, and that signature vibe. I'm running both the UAD Fairchild and the Undertone Audio's UnFairchild today. The UAD plugin sticks close to the original. Vintage interface, 6-time constant presets, perfect for classic Fairchild sound with zero learning curve. The UnFairchild, on the other hand, is a 21st century Fairchild. Although it's still vintage, it has a few different features than the UAD version and the original version, including precise control over attack and release, and a THD knob so you can decide how much color you want. Let's see side by side which each one actually delivers in real context. Okay, so I've got a new project that I was working on last week, and it's for sync licensing, so I can't play the whole song. Sorry about that, but I'm going to show you some tracks from it. These are the two Fairchilds here. We have the UnFairchild on the left, which is like the new age version, and the UAD version on the right. First, we're going to start by talking about the UAD version, which closely resembles the original version. In fact, it's pretty much to the T, obviously with some upgraded modifications. So first of all, you have your on and off switch. You can turn it on and off right here with the light, and then you have your metering here. So this is your incoming signal, your gain reduction, and your output. Now there's also a little headroom knob here and a balance knob. The headroom control can actually help in mastering situations according to the manual. So this headroom control can actually control the level of distortion that you're getting from the unit by raising the gain staging or lowering it depending on which way you go. This balance control to the right controls the bias, which it's a little confusing, but it's basically mimicking the old hardware. I would probably recommend leaving this at its default position. If you want a little bit more detail, you can check out the manual and look for the balance section. If you're getting some type of weird thuds, you can play with this to adjust the attack settings. Basically, from what I read in the manual, leaving it at its default position at 12 o'clock keeps it perfectly balanced. Then you have your input gain and you have your threshold. So to drive more compression, you can turn up the input gain or turn down the threshold, and that's going to give you more compression. These time constants are your attack and release settings. In this version, the attack and release settings are fixed. So from what I understand, these are the 6 settings that mimic the original hardware. And if you want faster attack times, you're going to stay with 5 and 6. And if you're curious, I pulled up the Fairchild time constant so you could see at position 1, the attack time is 200 microseconds to 300 milliseconds. And position 2 is 200 to 800. Position 3 is 400 to 2 seconds. Position 4 is 800 to 5 seconds. And then position 5 is program dependent, so 2 seconds for transients and 10 seconds for multiple peaks, so you get more of a glue type compression. And the same thing for position 6, but it changes the attack time to 400 microseconds, and it's program dependent, 300 milliseconds for transients, 10 seconds for multiple peaks, 25 seconds for consistently high program level. Now, the last thing I want to point out here is the AGC knob. And what this allows you to do is change the way the compressor operates. So when you have it on left-right mode, it's going to function like a normal compressor. When you turn it to lateral vertical, it's going to basically turn into a mid-side processor. The whole purpose of this was for vinyl. This was how they would compress either the mid or the side channels when printing discs for vinyl and to control the grooves and how the record was going to play back in those grooves. So it's a unique compressor for its time. You also have the ability to change these controls by using this link section down here, and you have sidechain controls. So if you wanted to throw this on the drum bus, you have a sidechain filter for the left and then the right. And then as the manual states, for example, you can change the sidechain filter so that when they're linked, you can see here if I unlink the controls, I can do them independently, or I could just move them up. And then you have an off button here. But if I wanted to say, put this on the whole drum bus, but I didn't want the kick drum to impact it, I could use this. Just filter out the low end. Now, one other thing I want to mention is the manual states that if you flip this sidechain switch and you're changing these AGC knobs, you get different compressors. Please note that this is on the Fairchild 670, which I have pulled up here. The 660 is just a mono version, a little bit different. I'll pull up the manual here so you can see 2 compressors, 4 modes, and the operating modes basically have the AGC switch setting, left, right, sidechain link setting unlinked, and it gives you the operating mode of dual mono. You can have lateral vert, unlinked, dual lateral vertical, left, right, linked, stereo, left, right, and lateral, vertical, linked, stereo, lateral, vertical. So you basically have many different options to how this compressor operates. That being said, you get some final knee settings down here at the bottom, and you can adjust like how hard the left lateral, the right vertical work when you're using that mode. It's basically trying to mimic exactly the original hardware with some modifications. You also have some presets here that you can go through. This is the UAD version. Let's quickly take a look at the UnFairchild version, and they look very similar, but there are some differences. First of all, at the top here, I want to mention they have an oversampling knob, and then one other thing to note that there's a THD knob right here where you can add total harmonic distortion. So that's a big difference. Pretty much everything is very similar. You do have a different input switch here, and according to the manual, this balance one doesn't do anything. You can't even get there. So you can bypass, you could see the VU or the gain reduction. Now, I'm assuming that this VU is on the output, but that would make the most sense. I guess you really can't see the incoming level, but you can control it with the input gain and then the threshold here. On top of that, you have different variations here. Now, what was a little confusing to me was why there's 4, but what these allow you to do is use the attack and release times down below. I'm not really sure why they put 4 different ones. The manual doesn't really state anything about that. So these time constant knobs are basically preset 1 through 6, just like the UAD version, but these 4 variations here allow you to use the attack and release settings down here at the bottom. I don't understand why there's 4, and I looked at their manual, which is pretty simple online. It doesn't really give you any specifications. Other than that, you just get the different modes here. You have mid-side, link, and independent, so each one would be 2 mono compressors. And the sidechain section is slightly different, but those are the main differences between the 2 plugins. So let's get into what these things sound like. Okay, so I can't play this whole song once again because unfortunately I am using this for a sync licensing project and it's exclusive. Before I play you these drums, I want to note that this project was for a 60s blues revival, so the mixing had to be LCR and I was mimicking a reference. That is going to be why you hear the drums more so to the right, but I'm going to go ahead and play you these drums with neither Fairchild on. So that's just the basic drums. Here is a Fairchild I was playing with the UAD version. And I didn't end up using the Fairchilds on the drums. I left them as is. I actually used an API 2500. Okay, so I've got these 2 compressors running now on the drum bus. I've got they're both defaulted. They both default to different states. So we can try to mimic what this is doing, but there's not a lot of gain coming into this one. Let me just go ahead and hit play on the UA one is on. So let's drop the threshold here. We'll leave it at 5. And maybe take this up so the kick drum doesn't get in the way like I mentioned. You can kind of hear the difference. And one trick, hit this off button to go back and forth. So here's without. We're definitely losing a little bit of attack there. Turn up the volume. There we go. All right, let's try to dial in the UnFairchild. I want to note that what I did notice is these controls are vastly different. Even though they look the same, they don't react the same. So I was playing around with it before recording the video, and it was just very different. So let's take a look at... You can already hear... Let's go to 5. And you don't have the same kind of sidechain filter control here. You just have a sidechain insert, which you can key in from here. So I don't really have the ability to do the same thing. Now what I want to try to do here is give this a little bit more volume. So let's go to the output up here. And let's go back and forth. So here's UnFairchild and Fairchild. Okay, so as you can see, they sound very similar. Let's give this more volume. It's a little lower. Maybe it's the input that's... One thing we could do is turn the thresholds down. Just make sure that they sound the same. You can hear right there with no compression that it seems like the UnFairchild just colors up the sound. You hear that? Bring in a little compression. So here's UnFairchild. And then Fairchild. Quieter. Let's boost this up to match. UnFairchild. That might be a little hot. And going back to Fairchild. Pretty close, pretty close. Once you get the levels matched, they're very similar. You could tell that the UnFairchild has some coloring advantage. So once again, we could turn up the THD and get a bit more of a new age version. And then here's your sidechain high pass. I guess I missed this right here, but you can actually put the sidechain on. Let's try that. Oh, and you have makeup gain here. So this output may not be needed. Yep. And let's go back to the original UAD version. And back to UnFairchild. So you can hear this one has a little bit more grit. That's probably from the THD that I added. Very close. Okay, next up we're going to put it on this lead guitar, and I'm just going to play you this so you can hear what it sounds like. Let's just loop up a section. So that's with neither of them. And I'm going to open these both up and we're going to put them side by side again. So here they both are. These were settings. I used one of these in the original mix. This was a copy of the session as I was getting ready for the video. I believe I used the UnFairchild because I thought it had a little bit more punch to it. Let's go ahead and try to go back and forth. Let's see if the settings are matched. So once again, this one seems a little quieter. This one is on variation 4. Let's go to 2. I think I was playing around. They're so close that it's really, really, really hard to tell, you know, once you match the settings and kind of get the output level matched. It's very, very close. Lastly, we're going to play with these live on the vocals. This is my friend Rebecca Jade. She's an amazing singer. I loaded up the 660 version here so you can see the differences. This is for mono tracks. Now, these vocals were recorded here at my studio, and although the other stems were sent to me, I know these vocals are in mono, so let's play around with it. This is also the mono version of the UnFairchild. I'm going to, once again, make sure things are matched. So this one defaults to 1. Let's put this on 1. Let's go ahead and play the original 660 Fairchild.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, 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 oh.
There we go. Let's try to compare that with this one.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, 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 oh.
You can instantly tell when she hit the whoa that this one had a little bit more bite, but the input gain is much lower. This one's on 8, this one's on 12. It actually felt like it was sucking too much compression.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, oh, oh.
We're getting down to -2. Let's check the other one real quick.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, oh, oh.
So let's drop the input gain here. This one's at 12. This is 12 here.
Ooh, yeah.
That's closer. That's about matched.
Ooh, yeah.
This is dry.
Oh, 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 yeah.
All right, let's try the Fairchild.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, 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 yeah.
All right.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, 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 oh.
So this one reacts a little bit more than the 660. So the knobs are slightly different, but that's the main differences that I noticed. They both sound great, and I think it's more about a preference on what you're trying to do. So at the end of the day, if you want like a new age version of the Fairchild, you want to check out the Undertone Audio UnFairchild. You get more controls, you get the THD knobs, just a bit different. You're going for that original vintage vibe, you might go with the UAD version. One pro to the UAD version is you can use it in their console application and print it on the way in or just monitor with it. And that is one benefit to having the universal audio stuff if you're a universal audio user. So I hope you found this video helpful. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering. If you did, please check out some of my other videos, drop me a comment, you know, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to see more. If you do want to support me, I have a small membership package in my membership area, both on YouTube and Patreon, where you can sign up for just $1.99 just to help keep me making videos for you. If you are curious and want to drop me a comment, let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Please do. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next video, I'll catch you guys in the comments. Peace.
To outer space.